there's an artistry to our system that is really interesting, but also super frustrating.
It hasn't been scaled correctly. But it's not the right size. It's not the right agility. It's not all of those things that couldn't have been anticipated in a world of 13 colonies, right? 50 states, all of the kind of micro regional stuff that really changes a lot from parts of the country to parts of the country. We're highly segregated still. I think, we're not, the scaffolding isn't right.
Dude, fucking John needs
to that's
because
it's,
So why can't the Attorney General, Blue Person, only file a lawsuit against Berkshire
It's been
Johnson,
figured out. It's been figured out
shut it down for the Supreme Court.
By the money that controls a lot of our politics. I mean, think about it, right? When there's presidential elections, they're not campaigning in California because they know California's going to go Democrat, even though there's 38 million people that vote here. They're campaigning in the swing states. That's where the ground game. That's where the emphasis on the politics is, because that's the structure that they figured out is where it's gained. And I think that's bad for America because a lot of voices get sidelined because of those realities. And unless you can win those swing states, you're not going to be president. I mean, Trump won his first term, having less votes. So, that's what we have, and unless we break that system or change it, that's gonna be the unless you can say we can change a lot of the country through the state and local politics and try to drive change there. I mean, but from a national agenda standpoint, that's absolutely what we're dealt with here. So, I mean, all the money that's spent on the ads and the TV and all of that. I mean, it's just, I don't think our founders ever meant for politics to be that costly. Even as rich as they were back in the day when a lot of them owned everything, owned all the land and means of production. They never envisioned it to be this expensive to run a campaign. So I think we got to fix that too. And Citizens United obviously couldn't help that cause at all.
Like there's nothing wrong. I'm doing the same thing. I'm doing it. All right. Yes, sir.
Yeah, no, I don't think Citizens United helped either. I mean, I think, but I don't know where we go from here. I mean, I don't know where we move forward. I mean, I don't know. I don't know. I mean, maybe there is a way forward. I just don't see it. Abby, do you see a way forward? I mean, you're somebody that's connected to political circles and things. Do you see a pragmatic way forward where we could heal the divides or no? Going once, Abby going twice. Let's go to Dr. Adams. What's going on? Dr. Adams going once. Let's go to Maria. Maria, do you see a way forward? Pepe, I don't even. Yeah, okay, go ahead.
Do I see a way going forward? I don't. I don't want to be pessimistic, but I would say almost no. I don't think.
Not in the way it is now, anyway. I feel personally like the system now has to collapse. It must, in order for us who are, aware and alert to take over and rebuild something new.
That's extreme. So you want so you would rather that
Can
the
you tell that
country
John
comes to a
Kitover,
collapse so it can be
Chicago
rebuilt
mail
better?
is very
I
optimistic
don't
about the
think
future
that we have a
because of
choice at this point.
intelligence.
I mean, everyone who has the power to do something is either on the wrong side or not doing anything at all. And then the rest of us who have to work day to day, you know, paying our fucking shit way through life, have no other choice but to do, you know, just sit here right now, unfortunately. And it's not only affecting people here in the United States, but it's a global effect. It's like it's huge, and unfortunately, my right-winged folks who are blindsided by the cult propaganda and narrative just cannot seem to like stop living in a state of oblivion. And like, and by that I mean like they just don't. Someone earlier was like, I just don't think about those types of things. Like, I just put it to the side. Like, what? Like, are you even human? Like, how? I can't do it anyway, and that's just me.
Well, I think it's interesting because you do sound more like. I'll just say, like, you seem like somebody, like you have people kind of from the fringe right. You seem somewhat kind of like on the fringe left. Much more.
I like to call myself moderate.
Really?
I live in Louisiana, unfortunately, and I was registered independent, but now I don't associate with any party because the Independent Party of Louisiana was dismantled last year in August. And then, of course, this stupid shit that the governor just did with the Voters' Right Act stuff, which, I mean, I kind of get why it was a loss. The language that they used to redistrict the maps was just retarded, and I just wish they would have used better language to propose the decision that they were trying to make. But also, we live in a stupid-ass, retarded-ass state where people live in a state of oblivion. Like, they just don't care. Like, I work with people every day who don't see how this is affecting me, my family, others around us. They're just, like, praising Lord Trump, blessed by God. Like, I just,
Well, I
anyway.
think that we'll start moving in a better direction when we reorganize our attitudes towards priorities and towards leisure. I think that that is a good start. I think that a lot of people that displace their grievances on the government as opposed to exercising their own free will to get second and third jobs, you know, where, you know, the cost of living is just outpacing their individual input into how they spend their workday. So I think that when we reorganize people's attitudes towards leisures, luxuries, and necessities, I think that we can get more towards a relevant conversation as to who is doing what, who has earned what, who has what, who doesn't, and why. I feel like a lot of that balance really has been ignored for quite some time. And I feel like we need to return back to basics to where people have their own place. They have their own, you know, hierarchy of needs, and they have their own hierarchy of allowances based on their individual input as to how they cultivate resources. I mean, the fact that, you know, you have people buying $20 million homes in the same areas, you know, are working in OnlyFans, you know, in the same areas as people who, you know, have built businesses and enterprises. I just think that that's laughable. And that's certainly not what America stands for. It's absolutely not. You know, pornographers in this country are making more than doctors. That's crazy to me.
Well, so you eat. I really, this is one thing that I think is really annoying when I hear it from like conservatives. They have like doctrinaire prescriptions for everything. Like, oh, well, just, you know, self-reliance and focus on yourself and why you are where you are. It's like, okay, buddy, that doesn't mean that a house is going to be more fucking affordable even after that third job. And it's extremely fucking tone deaf. And I mean,
what is affordable, Pepe?
Like, you literally even have the money to put down?
Well, no. Because there are homes where people have the money to put down.
70%.
It's the fact that people want granite counters, they want TikTok homes, they want a bunch of bougie luxury that they quite frankly didn't fucking scale for, and they did not earn. That is what the problem is.
No,
you're not
we're
going to
talking
move.
about that.
You're not going to move into a renovated TikTok house if you don't have the income to match it. Get off your ass. Get off your ass and get a second or third job if you want to extend your affordability. But don't sit around and complain that there are no affordable options.
You're being ridiculous right now. Nobody's talking about moving into a bougie fucking place. We're talking about the average fucking American home is out of reach for most young adults. Period.
Pepe, don't you think, like I'm thinking about my parents' generation, that a lot of people, came to the realization that they that's why Levitt towns started to crop up around the country.
Different attitudes towards leisure and luxury.
Wait, just hold for a sec. That's why certain suburban areas grew and grew. That you couldn't live in the area where the mansions were, so new neighborhoods started that were more affordable. So it just seems like Adams is talking about like. No, you're not going to live in Santa Monica on the beach, but you might live somewhere in the valley, or if you want to stay in the LA area.
Far less affordable and
No, I understand that. So then it goes out even farther and even farther. I mean, I see it in the city I'm in, and by the way, in your city, Pepe, you see it where the development went farther and farther, where it became more affordable. Like there are parts of the desert I can't believe people live in, but. It's how development went, and it stretched out to where they could afford it. So you're not going to necessarily have the ocean view, but I think my parents' generation it happened the same way. And I use the Levittown because it's an example of I don't know what income level you would say that was middle class or lower middle class at the time when they developed them, but that was the choice.
It was lower middle class. That was heavily a part of our curriculum here in the state of California. We studied that, and it actually set the pace for master planning of communities. Donald Bren, who owns the Irvine Company, actually ran with that same model of equally distributing a inventory of housing that is connected with the jobs and the average income of the places of which they're being developed. The other thing too that you want to mention as far as our grandparents' generation and my parents' generation, people with a family of four, you weren't buying, a 4-bedroom house. You had people that had 5 kids and they lived in a 2-bedroom house. That's just the reality. So when we go into luxuries and comfort as opposed to necessities, these are the type of attitudes that our generation simply will not get on board with to get in line with the affordability of what these economic conditions have to offer today.
That's
so.
Maybe with the small portion of the population, but not most.
Abby a question?
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. So this is August 16,
You're right.
2020.
The Chicago Economic School University of Chicago did
So it says, when interviewed by Sharon Gal,
basically
with
all the
Israeli
inflation
I-24 News
and all
channel,
the woke
asked
spending
Netanyahu
and
if
woke
he subscribed
philosophical
to the
and woke
vision for
cultural
a greater
problems,
Israel.
particularly
Netanyahu said
Zelensky
absolutely.
and
Asked during the
many
interview,
others. Even our Illinois Attorney
Rich,
General
why are we
is a
talking about
University
this?
of Chicago
Please don't
State
make this
University.
about
if he
Jews.
felt
Please,
connected to the
please.
greater
I
Israel.
God, I just
Netanyahu
please,
said,
I'm
Never
begging you.
heard of
You're
them.
changing the
We have all these
topic. Begging.
attorneys and federal
Beg him,
prosecutors
please.
have never heard of them, but they're political.
No,
We're
I think
talking about something else.
I just please, Rich. I swear I'll talk to you about it another time. I think he's was incredibly hot when he was younger. Like that's all I want to say about him.
Yeah.
Okay,
Netanyahu?
so go. Yeah, he
You're
was
okay with
great
him wanting to
looking when he
take
was
over
younger.
all
No,
the
I saw
Amazing.
pictures of him. He looked like a model.
Pepe, gorgeous,
Great,
just
great
drop
Israel.
dead. Okay, so going back to this, so the concept of
crazy.
the development of the suburbs, or so what you're saying, Adams, that people lived in the 2-bedroom house with the 4 or 5 kids, but then they were able to go into these new towns
Because they scaled.
And-
They
because
scaled.
they scaled. But how did all these new towns, like especially where Pepe is a really good example, because think about how far west development went where you are.
Yeah, went way out west.
Way out west, right? And it wasn't like super valuable. I mean, and the homes were, but that was the alternative where people couldn't live in PV.
Were you around when the town of Maricopa was being built up?
No, I'm trying to think. No.
Maricopa is close to Casa Grande.
Okay.
So there's one highway that leads there into Phoenix, and yeah, a whole bunch of people ended up moving out there. People even moved to Casa Grande, and of course, very far west, like Buckeye.
Right. I mean, and they weren't areas you ever thought would develop, but they were cheaper to get homes, and you had companies like Richmond American and America West Homes that went out in these big developments. We had it in Vegas. I mean, it goes all the way up.
We're very, very
to
similar.
Mount Charleston is, it's very similar. And you think, who the hell would live all the way up there? And the ingress and egress into the city is so far. But it's funny in a way, because I'm thinking what Adams is saying, that became the development, and then it turned into the gentrifying and going back to the older areas that got run down and redoing those areas.
Because people had different attitudes towards leisure. Now you wanted to go into platted neighborhoods, to go to gastropubs, and to go to other freaking places that you don't belong in. Go, keep that on the other side of town. Allow those neighborhoods to develop on their own, and stop putting a bunch of hipster establishments to drive up the cost of food and everything else around it just because you want to go out there on a Saturday night with your girlfriend. Like, I mean, this is how we got here. There were different attitudes towards different attitudes towards leisure, and the proximity of leisure towards development. When you started blending the two is where you started creating pockets. You started creating pockets of things to do and people that wanted to work in those places that became unaffordable.
That's not true.
Well, I would
No, I
say
mean, your situation that you have in Los Angeles is multi-millionaires.
We're not talking about Los Angeles.
Hold on.
We're talking about California.
Okay,
we're not talking about California.
Oh my God.
Yeah, well,
One at a time. When it comes
to
what I was gonna say.
one at a time, and then I wanted to hear David's take on this, because where he has also developed.
But like where we live, Abby, it's so Vegas and Phoenix. I think we would always go back and forth for which was the fastest growing city in the country. And so our experience, I think, is actually a lot different from most of the country, just because we have for decades we've been amongst the fastest growing cities, and there's only so many places you can build. It's my understanding that the housing affordability for young people is a lot worse now than it was for previous generations, like a whole lot worse. And I get it. There's some people who think they're entitled to live. I mean, in really nice areas in a nice loft, or which will cost a fortune in Manhattan or wherever. But no, I mean, that's not most people, though. Not everybody's a crowd.
No, Copa is like close to Casa Grande. Okay, so you have just like one highway that leads there into Phoenix.
Most people literally are just trying to move on.
Yeah, a whole bunch of people ended up
and
moving out there. People even moved to
this
Casa
is
Grande.
where experience. None of these idiots have worked over a decade in a world where you're watching an aging generation that's going from living with their parents over towards living on their own and then buying their first homes. So they're not really privy to these conversations.
What are you talking about?
They're not privy.
Comes in and fucking pays them off because they want to build a $100 million fucking. And then on top of that, you also have BlackRock, Vanguard, and State Street buying up over 49% of all single-family homes by 2030. So, I mean, you can blame fucking Larry Fink. He's paying 50% over market value. He's paying $100 million fucking just BlackRock alone.
And one of the most abusive things they started doing is, they started buying up all of the trailer parks. You have pensioners.
Which is $5.2 billion a fucking year in single-family homes. Mm-hmm. But yeah, by 2030, he's going to own 49% of all homes in America. And he's going to create a renter society like they want to do with the 2030 Great Reset through the World Economics Forum.
But they've even gone as far, like these. But I don't know anything. To buy the trailer parks, which I think is just like horrible. So basically, they immediately raise the rent. They make it so that in a very expedited fashion they can kick you out on your ass. And basically they're freezing out people that are pensioners or whatever. They have some kind of fixed income and just like completely exploiting them economically. And there is, I mean, to me, it's just so fucking disgusting.
Yeah, you should look up
You're preying on the most weak and vulnerable people in our fucking population. Shut the fuck up.
Houses like in fucking Pico seconds. The second it hits the fucking market,
your fucking autism is so.
It's fucking crazy, right?
Wait, hold on, David. Do you see this trend in LA?
Well, the
what we're
trend,
talking about?
well, yeah, I mean, look, so just from a 30,000 foot view of Los Angeles, there's been a shakeup in the entertainment industry. You know, you just had an article. Guys like Jonah Hill are moving south. You know, there's been a flight out of here. I don't know if you guys watch Netflix or the Apple movies and stuff. You get a lot of A+ listers, but the content isn't the best. Well, there's been a washout of jobs here in Los Angeles with regard to that. LA's always been a kind of a glamour town. You know, we're blessed by great weather, and what I'm going to say is I think that the high cost of living, the social problems have driven a lot of people out of here, particularly people who want to start a family. Let's say you're an educated college grad or not a college grad. I'm not saying it has to be about graduating from college, but you're a young couple. You can't live in certain parts of Los Angeles and raise a family safely or even affordably. So you've got issues.
This is ridiculous. Okay.
Cost of locations.
You work at an apartment complex selling leases. What the fuck do you know about buying a home? I mean, with all due respect.
In an apartment complex on leases.
Private, and you got to pay for that.
Yeah, so I mean, the biggest issue you have in your shitty ass fucking Los Angeles, Adams, is your fucking government officials selling off the fucking rezoning for property that's supposed to be multifamily apartments, and then somebody comes in and fucking pays them off because they want to build a $100 million fucking mansion, and then on top of that, you also have BlackRock, Vanguard, and State Street buying up over 49% of all single-family homes by 2030. So I mean, you can blame fucking Larry Fink. He's paying 50% over market value. He's paying $100 million fucking just BlackRock alone.
One of the most abusive things they started doing is, you know, they started buying all of the trailer parks where you have pensioners.
Which is $1.2 billion a fucking year in single-family homes.
Because there's more poor people in Los Angeles than there are rich people. And they drive a lot of the politics. They drive a lot of the rental laws, the rental concessions. They're passing a law now where you have to be down 2 months before a landlord can start eviction. So imagine you're a small landlord and you're dealing with renters that want to game the system, and you got to pay your mortgage. You can't go to your bank and say, "Hey, can you give me 2 months before I get a 30-day late on my mortgage?" No, they want that payment on time. So I would say that there's a lot of things broken. And there's a lot of washout of the middle class here, and it's not as fun a place to live when you see a lot of broken people walking through stairwells and parking structures. It's just not a fun place to live when you see humanity suffering like that. It really isn't. It's not fun to walk into your yoga class and you've got to deal with some of that. You're trying to take care of your health. And you realize there's a lot of people hurting out there, and then your politicians, you know, aren't doing anything about it. Like this guy Spencer Pratt, for example, he's a reality TV guy. His house got burned to the ground. He's been living out of a trailer. He's running for mayor of Los Angeles. He just ran an ad on his. He just got backed by Jeannie Buss, the owner of the Lakers, and he's running an ad saying Mayor Bass is living in a $3 million house while I'm living in a trailer because I can't get my home rebuilt. So, you know, I think he's coming at the problem as surgically as I've ever seen a candidate expose Los Angeles the way that he has. And he might get the money to win. We'll see. And but LA has always had the same exact policies and programs that have gotten us to where we're at today. And I don't think they're working anymore. As much as I like the Democratic policies because they tend to be a lot more fair. And they try to protect the little guy, whatever. My dad was an educator, so there's unions. There's things like that don't backstop this country and make everybody kind of prosperous on some level. Well, that's not happening anymore. So I'm asking myself, well, what can we do to fix things? And what can we do to help people live in Los Angeles get more affordably? And I don't know if there's a lot of easy answers to that. And I just, you know, I'm still around. I'm still living here. But a lot of my friends have moved on and left. And I feel like there's an emptiness to the area now that I've never felt before. And that's saying a lot because LA is such a big place that, you know, it's big and it isn't big, if that makes any sense. But anytime anybody's been through here, Venice Beach, Abby mentioned Santa Monica, these places are dying. and they're dying in ways that are, businesses going out of, long-standing businesses are shutting their doors now.
David, and they're making it worse because in Santa Monica now they're trying to turn the promenade into some sort of, just like drunk crawl. Where you can just have open containers in public. I mean, it's going to embolden the homeless people. I mean, aside from that, you go to Santa Monica.
So shut off from the real world.
You go to Santa Monica.
They want that,
okay,
they want that payment on time.
An average one bedroom is going to cost you about $4,000 a month just to have a washer and dryer inside of your apartment. Think about that for a second, David. Like it's gotten out of control. It's gotten absolutely out of control.
Well, the leases that these landlords want for these businesses is also washing them out as well. So there's a lot of greed that is hurting businesses' ability to survive.
Well, they also got to make their money back too, because I mean, if you go to some of these landlords, ask them what their occupancy is, because I mean, they could be charging what they want to charge and list the rental amount for what they want to list it for. Ask what their loss leaders are and ask what their current occupancy.
Well, I'm speaking from, I guess, again, a standpoint of this business was around for 30 years. Like we had this British pub in Santa Monica called the Britannia. It's a half a block away from 3rd Street Promenade. It's going out of business.
Yep.
And what's replacing it is a Taco Bell. Okay. We're going from an iconic restaurant to a Taco Bell. So, and I don't think wealthy Santa Monicans want to spend money at Taco Bell. I don't think they want to go in there and eat that bad food. So who's gonna patronize that Taco Bell? So anyway, long story longer. I mean, this is a very rich area. And from,
Nothing. Sorry.
Oh.
Patronizing.
Anyway, am I patronizing?
No. Patronizing is never mind.
Oh yeah, I know what you're saying. Right, exactly. Yeah. So patronizing and patronizing. So you're gonna live in your multi-million-dollar house. Yeah, everything around you is kind of falling apart. So you got to drive in and out of your nice home. And then I don't know if you've been watching the news, but there's been a lot of cases of smash and grab, foreign entities coming into LA, gangs, teams of robbers that are sacking homes, and it's just completely out of control.
They're coming up in troops from Guatemala and doing home invasions and then running over the border in Tijuana. This has been going on for quite some time. But I hear you. As far as the Spencer Pratt issue, I'm not voting for him. I'm absolutely not voting for him for a multitude of reasons. One, I don't see any sort of policy plan to address any other issues other than the issues surrounding him rebuilding his house. I also don't think that he really has any sort of honest intention to listen to what his constituents have to say. And I don't believe that he's going to get very far in the election because I don't think that he's going to get very far with minorities. You're not going to win the mayor of Los Angeles race without speaking to issues of minorities. It's just not going to happen. White people have moved to Santa Clarita. They don't vote in our elections. They moved to Orange County. They don't vote in our elections. Most of the people that, are dog whistling and, cheering Spencer on are either Hollywood elites, which the good majority of, minorities and otherwise are sick of them altogether, or people that live in Texas,
well, they also
or
got to
people
make
that
their
live in
money
other
back too,
places.
because if you go to some of these,
bring in a certain type of MAGA sentiment that's just not going to play very well, in this election cycle. So I think he's going to lose.
Brad, can you imagine being so sheltered that you don't understand how the real world works? And I agree.
And it's funny coming from you because you don't seem to have a job now as of late. Now, do you? Because my parents taught me how to operate four wheels without crashing into shit being on Clubhouse.
Yeah,
and you don't see me. You don't see me jobless on Clubhouse with phony business development,
yes.
right? While your parents are paying their bills. So what part of this conversation about California belongs to you?
Microbreweries are coming into these affluent neighborhoods and they're having bar crawls. And oh my God, it's like so bad. Like they just want people to walk
But
around
I am curious
with
though,
open
Adam,
drinks.
what do you
like
want to
so
see
crazy.
happen like in California. So like I heard you speak kind of rather in a not very nice way amongst the about the homeless people, and I get it. A lot of them have different issues. But what do you think should happen to them?
They need to return back to states like Rich that sit and finger point at California. We all know that these homeless people. Oh yeah, we know that these homeless people do not belong to California. They do not belong to California. So I think that we need to send them back. I think that we need to send them back by zip code to the people on the internet that have the strongest opinion about this issue. So all of the homeless people that do not belong to California, I think we need to send them back to the states where they belong, Pepe. And I think that if the states don't comply with taking them back, I think that we need to tax the states. I think that we need to tax the states. We need to drive up the cost of anything coming out of California going to those states until they take their homeless people back.
Yeah, no, it's a good point. He makes a good point. I had a guy that I did workouts with. He worked for the city of LA, and they had to sue. Unfortunately, Abby, this goes to your part of the world a little bit. Had to sue the city of Las Vegas for sending homeless people here.
Yeah.
There was an incident of that, and
now we just really lock them up. We have a whole area we lock. No, I'm not. You think I'm joking? We have a whole area we close them in and keep them in an area separate from the strip, and it's constitutionally protected. So gone all the way to the Supreme Court, and we have ordinances that will arrest them if they're sleeping on the streets. So, everyone, Democrats, Republicans alike, think that the most important thing here is hospitality and not to fuck it up. So that was not a hard ordinance to get through. Yeah, I know it sounds pretty tough the way I'm saying it, but you have to understand that's the lifeblood of the town, and people sleeping in the streets are not going to bring in tourists.
I think what that does is it wakes up those folks that are trying to purposely be homeless. I used to live in Santa Monica, and I lived in front of this famous chess park. The city of Santa Monica has since eradicated it because of all the bad activity that was happening. This park was iconic. I used to play a lot of chess there. And I would go down there during the day, and I'd meet these homeless guys, always playing games. They're playing for money, whatever. And one guy, he's real.
Just should be on Clubhouse, and you don't
homeless people. But I said, man, hey, I see you here a lot. You're always playing and having a good time and stuff. How do you pull this off? It's like he goes, oh, too many questions, man. I'm just here to play chess. I'm not here to talk to you about how I get away with not working all day. Because this is when I first moved to the area when I was in my early 30s, and I was just curious how these guys got by. And so there's a level of gamemanship when it comes to homelessness if you know how to do it. And because our weather's so great here, you could literally, not ever freeze, sleep in your car, or even on the street, not die from freezing. So. Yeah, look, at the end of the day, I don't think we should promote homelessness. I think we should figure out a way to get people off of the street. But we just can't manhandle people like that here in California. They don't do that. We can't do that here, Abby. I know they want to do it, but they just can't do it. And that's why Santa Monica suffered for so long, is because the homeless can just botch your business and be out in front doing whatever. And nobody's going to want to try to walk through that or try to spend money in your shop when they see all this depravity all around them. So I don't know, man. I don't know how you guys get away with it, but I don't think we're very.
It wasn't our case. Actually, was in Oregon. Went all the way to the Supreme Court on having those ordinances. So if you're sleeping on the street, you get a ticket, and you can, if it's more than one offense, you can actually do time. I think it's up to 6 months. And we have to have a place for them to go. The whole justification was that the county, as well as NGOs like Catholic Charities, etc., built facilities and centers, an area for them to go, and whether they're there just sleeping in a shelter or having a food bank or a detox place. So we had to have a place for them, which they built. But it was across the board. Like, you have people sleeping in the streets with that amount of 40 million tourists coming in every year. Like but it wasn't our case that won the Supreme Court decision. I'm almost certain it was in Oregon City. Maybe Brad's in here. Do you remember?
Yeah, it was. I had the name up on the top because it gives a prime example of like voting for really wonky policies because of virtue signaling, and now you can't eat at Caesar's Caviar Castle and have to suffer at a Taco Bell, and then it's the end of the world and depravity. It just sounds hollow because again, you voted for these policies, and that Supreme Court decision was there that the people have a right to a community. You don't have to sit there like saying you can't pick up people and say, you know what? You can't sleep on the beaches. You can't shoot needles up, and you can't shit on sidewalks. We're gonna lock you up. That's not an inhumane thing. That's just common fucking sense. You guys have a new disease coming out that we haven't seen for the medieval times. A typhus that hasn't been around since the medieval times, and now all of a sudden it's like a major deal.
Well, that's I think what was it? Was it the bubonic plague or what was it?
No, this is a viral bacteria typhus.
No, he's talking about the bubonic plague a couple of years ago that came across the Mexican border down in the border.
No, they had it at Skid Row in L.A.
It started from the border cities in California and Texas.
I don't think that's how the plague spreads.
That people spread it amongst themselves as they're sick and they come up.
This new one is coming from fleas on rats, and it's the same thing that bubonic plague.
Yeah, that was the same as the old one. It came from fleas on rats.
Yeah, so I mean, there was somebody who got
people,
okay.
Have, I know it's crazy. People don't have fucking vaccines for things like this.
I mean, there's somebody who got it from a rat in the countries. There's somebody who got the bubonic plague like a few months ago in Arizona, in northern Arizona, just from contact with the fucking animal
so
in a wild area.
I don't know, man. I don't know how you guys get away.
So, David, I have to find that case where they sued the city. I didn't know about that one.
Yeah, there was. So I do know that the Supreme Court. One of the reasons why homelessness was stymied for so long is because the Ninth Circuit said it was cruel and unusual punishment or something. Unless you could provide housing for the unhoused, they had a right to be on the streets. I think the Supreme Court reversed that, and finally reversed that, which gave the cities the power to do what they're saying in Vegas. Now,
Grants Pass, that's the case. City of Grants Pass.
What case is
I just found it too. Grant Pass, yeah.
Grants Pass, I guess, versus Johnson.
Because they said it started over a bench in the park, and it was, I think, that's the same case. It started over a bench in a park, and they just arrested the people, and they got tired of it because literally Grants Pass said, no, you're just not going to loiter about and do. You either have to have a home, a place to sleep. They even had shelters. They just weren't staying in the shelters. Yeah, so it was like it's a.
So there's city of Dana Point. Take them, for example, down in Orange County, where they were able to leverage the removing of homeless is they invoked the disability, the Disabilities Act, because the homeless were blocking the sidewalks. And what they did is they leveraged the fact that the disabled couldn't move their wheelchairs up and down the sidewalks. So they used that law as reason to remove their homeless. And they got away with it, and they created an area of the city where they could put them, and that was their strategy to attack their homeless problem. And it's
ADA compliance. ADA compliance is a very good strategy. That's a very good strategy.
What's going on, David?
But that was really smart. I wouldn't have thought of that.
I think it's really clever. Really clever.
Yeah.
Where's the country going?
But the Grant Pass case, I think, is interesting because, again, we still have to have an alternative. I mean, in order to get those ordinances passed, you have to offer shelters and food banks. And, but if they're on the street sleeping and they're cited, a couple times, they're going to jail.
No,
I mean, the biggest problem is with them, though.
They got drug problems.
I was about to say, like, anybody who's worked with this population, like I have.
Fentanyl. So I know what I'm talking about.
So it's been
how are you paying for your cell phone if you're homeless?
Yeah, so like one of the biggest problems is
exactly
though
that Obama phone. So what?
Okay, amazing. when it comes to any facility, even a homeless shelter, they're not going to allow. Shut the fuck up,
dude. You're rude.
No, you just want. Why are you talking on?
Somebody left the door open. The hood boogers are in.
Go ahead,
When it comes to any of the large homeless shelters, which I'm sure you have one there, like the big utilities. There's other places set up. They don't allow drugs and alcohol, and even if they can sense that you're intoxicated, they don't allow you to stay there. And then even if they find you a place, which often
you don't know what
be
you're
like,
talking about, bro. You never been.
Shut the fuck up!
You never been homeless before, bro. You know
I literally worked with the population.
Start spraying chimps right now.
So, and if you can't, depending on if they have disabilities, for example, if you're oh my god.
Abby, you have the power.
Fucking ghetto.
They're enjoying.
I mean, this is probably why you're. If you are homeless, this is probably why you have no impulse control.
Detroit, Michigan. I'm from Detroit, Michigan, bro.
I don't care.
I'm the richest black man on earth.
All right, she's a troll. Amazing.
No, the richest African is Elon Musk.
No, he's not.
The richest
All
African.
right,
Anyway, Pepe, when you saw those big shelters, there's.
Mine is the head of the man, and my insight is keen as the hawk's. By my head I invoke I am the only begotten child of my father and mother. My father is dead. My mother bore me with labor and pain and fear. By my body I invoke thee. About me shine the diamonds of radiance white and pure. By their brightness I invoke thee. Mine is the red triangle, reverse the sign given on the sacred beam of thee, O Lord. By the Lamb I invoke thee. Mine is the garment of white, sewn with gold, the flashing of light that I wear. Mine sight is keen as the hawk's, by my head I invoke I am the only begotten child of my father and mother. My father is dead. My mother bore me with labor and pain and fear. By my body I invoke thee. About me shine the diamonds of radiance white and pure. By their brightness I invoke thee. Mine is the red triangle, reverse the sign given of none save it thee, of thee, O Lord. By famine I invoke thee. Mine is the garment of white, sewn with gold, the flashing of light that I wear. By my robe I invoke thee. Mine is the sign of the prophets and time. By the sign I invoke Mine is the turban of white and gold, and mine the blue vigor of the intimate air. By my crown I invoke thee. My fingers travel on the beads of pearl, so run I after thee in thy car of glory. By my fingers I invoke thee. I bear the wand of double power in the voice of the Master. Abraham of the Lord, by the blood I invoke dark blue waves of music in the song that I made of old to the flaming sword, crown, child, and conquering Lord, Horus, by the song I invoke thee. In my hand is thy sword of revenge. Let it strike at thy bidding. By the sword I invoke Mine is the head of the man, and my insight is keen as the hawk's. By my head I invoke I am the only begotten child my body I invoke thee. About me shine the diamonds of radiance white and pure. By their brightness I invoke thee. Mine is the red triangle, reverse the sign given of none save it be of thee, O Lord. By the Lamb I invoke thee. Mine is the garment of white, sewn with gold, the flashing of light that I wear. By my robe I invoke thee. Mine is the sign of the prophets and time. By the sign I invoke thee. Mine is the turban of white and gold, and mine the blue vigor of the intimate air. By my crown I invoke thee. My fingers travel on the beads of pearl, so run I after thee in thy car of glory. By my fingers I invoke thee. I bear the wand of double colors of the By the song I invoke thee. Thy hand is thy sword of revenge.
Mass third world immigration into Western countries, and they do it. They kind of do it from both sides. They do it here, but they also fund and help them. They set up charities to basically help them if they want to make the trek up north. All throughout Latin America.
Oh,
And if we're being realistic, like with Catholicism, it is kind of anti-Catholic to not want immigrants because they're different. Like that, I don't know how else to say. I'm obviously.
Oh